Hello everyone. Today we are ranking the 10 most popular productivity books. This is a video I'm very excited about because these are all books that have had a lot of hype and of course all have value, both all in their own right. And this will be a purely subjective ranking based on what I think they bring to people's productivity gains. So I've got the 10 most recommended productivity books here, and we will be going through them and ranking them from top to bottom. We have at the top earth-shatteringly good, like they change your perspective on everything. We have recommended, then we have a good read, then we have it's fine, and then we have overhyped. First up, we have Deep Work by Cal Newport. And Cal Newport wrote this book based on his own experience. At that time, he had been going through the academic process, got a PhD, wrote best-selling books, and generally accomplished a lot of things. And he was asked all the time about how he could attain that. And essentially, he wrote a book about deep work, about how if you want to get things done, you have to make space physically and mentally to have several hours of uninterrupted work to be able to work on the most important stuff that you want to be working on. So deep work is definitely something that changed my outlook on how I arrange my day and made me realize that distractions are possibly one of the biggest thieves of productive time. It's either earth-shattering or recommended. We'll put it in recommended for now. So next up, we have Atomic Habits by James Clear. And James Clear has been talking about productivity and habits for a very long time on his blog. And his book, Atomic Habits, is a culmination of all of those learnings. I love his message in that he's advocating not for a complete overhaul of your entire life to automatically become this super productive guru, but rather advocating that you can just be 1% better every day that will lead to compound results. So I think that Atomic Habits has not only changed mine, but I think a lot of people's lives and how they see their lives, how it doesn't have to be an all or nothing deal. So I think I would definitely put this in the earth-shattering category. Next up, we have Getting Things Done by David Allen. And now this is a classic. David Allen is a productivity consultant, consulting the corporate types in big buildings and navy blue suits. So admittedly, it's a bit dry for my taste, but he does have some really great takeaways. One of his main takeaways is that you have to have really good and reliable systems in place to be productive, because you can't fully rely on yourself, you can't fully rely on your memory to get things done. For him, it's if there's something to be done, then you have to put it into the system. And if it's not in the system, it's not gonna get done. And things like to-do lists and putting reminders on them or reoccurring tasks and that sort of thing. I know this works. One of the most productive people I know swears by this system. So there's definitely something to be learned. I would put it in recommended. Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is a really difficult game here because really they're all top bestsellers, so they really should all be recommended. So then we have the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Now this one is our oldest book on the list. It was published in 1989. It's a classic, and a lot of modern day productivity rhetoric is built on the foundations that this book laid. And one of the most lasting tenets of this book is the productivity matrix. And I'm sure you know the one I'm talking about, the one that's separated into 4 quadrants where you have important and unimportant and urgent and not urgent. What you should be focusing on is the important and urgent, and it helps you classify different tasks. Productivity by prioritization. I mean, this was so important in the day. 30 some odd years later, you know, I feel like the learnings here could be probably ingested via a blog post summary. All the respect to Stephen Covey, I'm going to put it into the it's fine category. Maybe look up a summary. So next up, we have the fan favorite, The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss. The premise here is all about how Tim Ferriss was working for a company, didn't like it, and then quit his job and started working for himself as an entrepreneur, was working double the amount, didn't like that either, and so went on a journey to reform his work life and reduced actual working down to 4 hours. Yes, it is very inspiring. Having read it, I'm not entirely sure about how practical or possible it is for everyone else. And it's a good read and it's a quick read. Tim challenges the way you think about work. A lot of his success came down to delegating tasks, outsourcing tasks, and automating processes. And if that's possible, then you can by all means reduce your hourly workload, and it certainly does get you thinking. I would say it's a good read. It's a good read. It's an entertaining one. It's worth reading. It reads quickly. Will it change the way you're able to manage your life? Well, probably not in the same way that he does. Possibly the lessons you learn there will. So moving on to our next book up, and it is Extreme Productivity by Robert Pozen. And so this book offers you a very systematic approach to make sure that you're always doing the most important things. It is, like the title suggests, like developing extreme laser-like focus on the tasks that are most important at hand. And this actually is a running theme throughout a lot of the books on this list. Like I said with one of our previous books, it was all about prioritization. That was the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And this is also very, very strict and straightforward and systematic prioritization. Now, if that is something you are into, for sure, go for it. I don't want to go through that very strict process for every decision I have to make. It doesn't have to be that difficult. So I'm going to put this in our overhyped section. Sorry. Next, we have Zen To Done by Leo Babauta. This is a book that essentially combines a lot of other learnings from other books into a more modern format, but it also does add some of its own, such as calculating how much time it actually takes you to prepare to take action rather than actually doing the action itself. So for example, a lot of people waste a lot of time fretting and setting things up and waiting until the perfect moment. Based on that, I would put it in the it's fine category. Then we have Grit by Angela Duckworth. And here, her concept is that major success doesn't come from innate talent, but rather from consistent perseverance and determination to stay on their own set path. It's certainly very inspirational, and it makes you wonder and ask yourself, is there a North Star in your life? She has different interviews in her books with, Olympians and whatnot. In those kinds of professions, there is one goal, and it's the Olympic gold. But for the rest of us, I guess the question is, do all of us have such a specific North Star? So I would put this in the good read category. Definitely worth your time. The jury's out about how much it would help, the modern professional. Moving on to the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma. Now, this book, I believe, is very responsible for the whole 5 a.m. club rhetoric, that only those who are able to find the self-discipline to drag themselves out of bed at 5 a.m. in the morning are truly able to achieve excellence, or that they are truly worthy of excellence. This also goes hand in hand with the many millionaires who adhere to this 5 a.m. club stuff, and the list goes on. Also, it touches on different other things that supposedly lead to success. For example, the concept that it takes 66 days to develop a habit, which I'm not entirely sure how much scientific backing that has, or as well as creating 20-20-20 slots of time for your morning routines, which is essentially what we call time blocking. But if you're an early riser, then this might be an interesting book for you to get into. Me personally, I will put this in the overhyped section. Moving on to our final book, and that is Rework by Jason Fried. Now, Jason Fried is the founder of Basecamp, which is now 37 Signals, and this is a company that was doing fully remote work way before it was popular or common, a decade and a half before the pandemic, and also they had never taken investments. And so essentially his book is about reconsidering how entrepreneurship is done. If you're setting off on your entrepreneurial journey, then this is certainly a book to read. There are different concepts in it that make you think like, oh, well, why are we doing things that way? He's a big proponent of eliminating meetings where possible, that they're huge time wasters, or that long lists don't get done. So make sure that you don't have a super long to-do list. So I would definitely put this solidly in the recommended aisle. Those are my top 10 productivity book top lists. I am sure that some of you do not agree with my results here, and I do want to hear all about them. So if you would have done something different, please tell me in the comments below what you have. And if you want to see more of this, comment us your favorite productivity book, and we might do another version of this with those books as well. Until then, I'll say bye for now, and if you want more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. See you next time.